people to complain. Now, Ms. Karen, I referred her back to HUD, and we know we probably don't want to report the city of Live Oak to HUD now with the DOGE and Musk, the things here looking into to see if federal workers are doing their job that they're supposed to do. One of the problems I had was with a woman who had for years been trying to get him to make a house handicap accessible. She was having to pick up a child, but you know, when you're disabled, the weight is heavy. And I had to, you know, threaten to call the disability department, the ADA, because there are strict guidelines on making accommodations for residents with disability. And I was able to get him to renovate that bathroom so that the tenant could finally, I was in California and the lady called and thanked me and said they are working to make the bathroom compliant. The other issue is Ms. Karen has a daughter, and I'm a medical person. I talked to my doctor when I was in LA. So you know, if you have seizures, you can't look at a person and tell that they have seizures. Now she's asked for what the Housing Authority calls accommodation, reasonable accommodations to have a caregiver live in because the daughter who lives there has seizures. Now, allegedly, I wasn't there, Miss Karen had some papers for me that he says she doesn't need a live-in because she goes to work. Well, one, she goes to work at a medical facility where there are medical people and doctors. Number two, the reason you're watching someone to sleep at night is there's a chance of dying unmonitored from seizures at night. So I'm not sure how the Housing Authority can make decisions on whether or not a tenant needs a live-in to watch them while they sleep. She also showed me that on the housing it says what documentation you need is that the doctor gives a written statement that the client needs a live-in, and she has documentation from a doctor that she just showed me that checks off boxes verifying that the doctor approves or verifies with his many years of medical education that the child, not a child, she's an adult, needs live-in to watch her when she's asleep. So Ms. Karen, other people have called me, but they won't come out because allegedly they're afraid of retribution and the things Ms. Karen talked about. Her lease was forfeited and canceled. We had to go to the state, to the mayor, to different advocates, Mr. Crawford, to try to help her not be evicted from there. So, and when you look at what the Live Oak Housing Authority says its mission is you want to make a safe, comfortable environment that promotes the ability to pay your rent without harassment. You want to make an economic improvement for your city. Homelessness we do not want. We already know that housing is extremely, extremely difficult to find. So we do not want to have people who are low income being evicted, end up homeless and a burden to the city. So I think the mayor and the city, whomever can meet, maybe in private with the people who are afraid to talk, to see all the issues before somebody, the city, is sued. Because now we have a different, when we reported to HUD in 2024, we didn't have Scott Turner on a Republican administration. So you guys might want to talk to these staffers, because right now it's very tenuous to not do, to not do what the federal government wants you to do when you're getting funded. This might be a city housing authority, but the money comes down from the Fed. So if you all, I'm talking from what I've been told, I wish it wouldn't break rules if the person who has not, as they say in the court, secondhand information, that you could hear directly from someone who's been affected, and I appreciate you guys letting me talk. For, as they say in the Bible, someone has to be there for the least of them. Thank you.
Now, continue on with that. I hold this passion to my heart. There are 3 councils, 1, 2, and 3, us, who have housing authority in our district. Not only that we might have family members, but we depend on these people as well as the entire community as votes are going on being elected around the state, national. Everybody depends on these folks that are living in these areas. That mission statement and brought up about that the members might sue and all that stuff. If they're not abiding by this mission statement, the heart of your bylaws, then they're breaking rules, they're breaking protocol. To me, I was elected to be the voice of the people, those who cannot speak for themselves. I think every one of us up here who are elected have the same compassion in the same way. Now, I know I should support at least 2 board members concerning this about our housing authority. I'm not going to deal with the director. All right, the executive director is a new telephone. I want to deal with the housing authority board. The problem lies within the board. If the board would do what it's exactly been designed to do, and that is to keep in check the director, they can hire and fire the director. That comes from the housing authority board. Our mayor, he's appoint those board members. We as council vote on those according to Florida statute, on those board members. Those board members cannot take office until we vote on them, although he make a recommendation. And I want to bring that up to our mayor for his appointment, and he has the authority to remove appointment. But for anything but then abiding by the law, which would be the mission statement, that's the first thing I can find out and read the mission statement. I hope my colleagues will read it. The mission statement. If you break the mission statement, you're breaking the bylaws and everything else, I feel. So, Mr. Mayor, now for your rebuttal, then I leave to you.
I don't have a rebuttal. I wouldn't call it a rebuttal, but
whatever you have.
I can outline the procedures for the removal of a board member. Mm-hmm. It's governed by Florida Statute 421.07. Mm-hmm. And the mayor is the causative agent in the removal of a housing commissioner, and no other official is authorized to initiate that process. The mayor may remove a commissioner of a housing authority with the agreement or consent of the governing body of the municipality. No requirement, which is this board.
Thank you.
But you can only do so if the mayor brings charges before the board, there's a hearing, there's specific notice.
Yes, sir.
There's no requirement of unanimity, but approval from the governing board, and the mayor's action is mandated. The city commission is not authorized to initiate a proceeding for the removal of a commissioner, but can only concur in the mayor's call for removal. So this is a situation which is controlled by state statute.
Yes, sir.
And if the mayor elects to bring charges, then we follow the statute. If the mayor elects not to bring charges, it will never come before this board or commission.
Same thing I said.
And may I point out also,
okay,
that even if I bring these, the council can still say no or yes. It's right up to them. So I've heard many complaints about the director.
Mm-hmm.
I have no authority over the director. None. I have none. This council does not either. Ms. Karen, I think Mr. Battles, did he call you the other day? There's a new director. I'm not sure if Miss Janice got married and has a new last name, or she has, her name is Janice and the previous one was Janice. But anyways, I've talked to them numerous times. They've told me many times that they will do what they can, but primarily they don't get involved in the operation of the housing authority. So, there have been no charges brought that I'm aware of against any commissioner. I hear things, I hear hearsay. I think maybe the attorney can speak to this.
No, would you want to yield back to me?
If the attorney will speak to this as far as the procedure and process, I think the statute is silent as to how the mayor acquires this information, which I assume kind of puts it into my discretion
That is
as to how to handle those matters.
Now,
So I will
sir.
say this, that I will not entertain
Okay.
any scurrilous gossip or any hearsay. If somebody wants to make me aware of things that they're willing to swear to, then I'm certainly going to look into it. But I hear a lot of things about a lot of people, including
Now,
myself and members of this board, and I'm not
Okay.
out looking to investigate people.
Mr. Mayor.
In light of the fact that I would, as the mayor, be acting in some ways quasi, I guess, as a judge. So I want to be very careful that I don't prejudice any thought or opinion that I might have of board members. I want to be very careful because I want to be fair and we want to follow due process.
Now, back to me. Now, I had stated to you 2-3 weeks ago concerning this here, and I've talked with state, I've talked with Corey Simon's aides and Schultz's aides. They call me constantly about what can be done. I'm looking at this thing compassionately, looking at this here. Now, I understand, I think I made it clear to you and the attorney in my statement that I understand where you stand and what you can do and not do. Now, as far as the appointment, we understand. I understand. All right? But now, the charges blatantly is in the mission statement. That's why I had this passed around to everybody. Read the mission statement. If they're not living up to that, then you're not living up to the bylaws or even the Constitution. The mission statement is part of your articles of your bylaws. All right? Now, if you choose not to do that, then that's your prerogative. But in my item C, the next item here, well, then we'll do it a different way. But I want to make sure that you have the authority, and what I'm looking at, like I told you, we had in conversation, and about a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago, you should got with you're supposed to got with the attorney and brought all this stuff back. I know what Florida statute says concerning us and concerning the council voting, your appointment. Appointment, if you're appointed, you can be unappointed. Am I correct, sir?
I don't understand the question.
Well, let me make it plain. I spoke Chinese. Now I'm getting a little. If there's an appointment, there can be an unappointment. A person can be unappointed to a board. Am I correct? And the mayor has that authority.
I still don't understand.
Well, then,
Let
I'm
me see if I
speaking.
can-
Let me
see if I can-
talk to the wall back here, because I'm getting sarcastic.
I'm not being sarcastic.
I'm
If you'll
being
let me-
sarcastic.
If you'll let me finish, I'll try to
All right,
rephrase
I'm
it,
gonna-
we'll make sure you and I are on the same page.
Okay, let's go.
If you're asking that the mayor makes an appointment and that appointment is affirmed or confirmed by this council.
Yes, sir.
That person is now a commissioner. Would you
Yes,
so
sir.
far?
Yes, sir.
All right. The only way that that commissioner can be removed is if the mayor, in his discretion, decides to bring charges. And there are 3 categories: inefficiency, neglect of duty, or misconduct in office.
2 out of 3 is here in this mission statement.
So, but he has the
I
discretion to
understand
decide
that.
whether to bring the charges.
Mr. Attorney, I understand that completely. I do understand. And we're saying pretty much the same thing in different words.
Okay.
He has the authority. I understand that. He can make the appointment or he can withdraw those appointments. Once again, if you're appointed to something, you're not elected. You can be unappointed. Now, thank you, sir, I appreciate it. So, he just said that he neglected not to do that because some false charges or whatever else. I'm dealing with facts, false charges. I'm not dealing with hearsay. I'm not even dealing with the Housing Authority Director or Executive Director. That's not my concern now. My concern is the people who live in these 3 districts not being treated fairly. All of us elected officials would get up, knock on those doors of the Housing Authority. Will you vote for me? Will you vote for me? That ought to be a compassion, even with this audience here, even as a Christian here about concern about those who are less fortunate.
Do you have certain board members that you think that we should?
I've looked at, well, I got to worry about.
Why don't you give me the names of them, every one of them, and then you write down what you think they've done or not done.
Mayor,
No, I mean,
we've had this conversation.
not, who?
I told, matter of fact, we got a resolution from 1. There's 2 more.
Okay,
That's a
name-
question.
Then you write down and write what they have done or not done.
I'm bringing this up now, because the question is, let's talk about one board member. We don't know if he's the attorney for the board or he's a board member. He
I do know
cannot
who
be.
the attorney is.
Huh?
Mr. Bullard is the attorney.
Mr. Bull. All right, I never
I
seen
don't
him
think
at a
he's on the
meeting.
board.
I never seen him at a meeting.
I'm
All right. So now, the one I thought was an attorney, since you brought it up, then he's a member. But, once again,
Just remember this, Mr. Jefferson, the person you think is doing a good job on the board, people can say things about them too and bring that to me. I want to be fair and have due process for all of those board members.
Mr. Mayor,
So there,
I'm not talking about folks about unfair with some member and all that. I'm watching. If I'm looking at a leader who's a president, then he ought to be able to lead. Absentee, God, we won't even talk about that. But be able to train those other board members, should know the bylaws and rules and regulations. So when I asked you a question about who the attorney was, Mr. Mayor, you could not even tell me who the attorney was. So what I'm saying is, we have everything here.
it's not my business to know who their attorney is.
Now there you go.
That's right, I mean,
It should be your business to make the
Not-
appointments.
as long as they've got an attorney, as long as he's competent, it's fine with me.
Well, you didn't know who the attorney was, Mr. Mayor. We're not going to argue that point. I'm not going to, I'm just saying it was dear to my heart and dear to these people.
And I understand that, and
No, Mr. Mayor, let me finish. I got to move on. Because I'm going to hand you to open up. No, sir. Now, I'm compassionate. We ought to be compassionate about people, period. It's our Christian duty to be compassionate about people. Some of those folks out there might have people who lives in those subsidized homes, all right, out there. We don't know. But I'm not going to look down on anybody. When I walk my district, I knock on every door. I'm not looking at it, well, it's the housing authority, I'm going to leave those folks alone. I am compassionate. I walk all over this city. I am compassionate. That's what I'm elected for. And I think all of us have been elected for the same thing. So now, you're not going to worry about this appointment. You're going to leave folks where they at.
What are the charges? What, you have the name?
Do you have a copy of this?
They're not doing what they're supposed to do.
Oh, is that right?
So just
Okay,
for
then
clarification,
The board,
I think
well, the
we don't-
board
I've
members,
heard, I have heard
Yeah, just
complaints
talk out of order.
about the director many times,
Mr. Mayor,
okay? And I've tried to help folks as much as I
Oh,
but
can.
the board is not.
And-
so for the sake
hold
of,
on, Mr.
no, you're not gonna hold on me,
No,
sir. We're
yes,
gonna-
Mr. Mayor,
I think right now,
You're
we're not
saying-
getting anywhere, this is
No.
not being productive at all.
well,
So I
Mr.
think
Mayor,
you said
you're
you wanted to
saying
move it.
charges,
We're not gonna do this.
we're not bringing up charges on the housing authority. Read all you want.
I am.
I'll try to hold my composure.
So that's
Chair,
fine.
I make
I
a
saw
motion that we take a 5-minute recess.
We have a motion, in a second. All in
And
favor?
third.
5-minute recess.